Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here with Jason Blaha Strength and Fitness, and today I'm going to do a little bit of a rant. But a quick reminder, if you guys will please click like down below and drop me a comment, I would appreciate it so much. And I'm going to say that, look, I don't get why vegans don't make a big deal about the crop deaths from their food. Now, the reason I say this is because I deal with these people a lot. So as you guys know, I'm anti-fad diet. I go pretty hard on the carnivores. I go really hard on the carnivores because they kind of came at me originally, and I pushed back and realized how crazy they were. I didn't even know about them until some of them started literally making hate videos about me for promoting vegetables and carbohydrates. But the vegans, you know, I always have occasional vegans who really try to start things with me. They come over, they start arguments and stuff on my Facebook. Of course, Vegan Gains always makes hate stuff about me. And the thing that always puzzles me is this whole thing with the crop death. And the reason I'm going to point this out, they always pull this, well, meat eaters, or they'll call them carnists, they cause more because technically their animals eat grains and whatever. So therefore they cause more. Okay. But here's my point. They act like the crop deaths matter less. In other words, they pull this, well, it's not intentional, but it is intentional. Meaning there's plenty of intent. Tons of the crop deaths, millions and millions of them. I can assure you there were millions of small animals intentionally killed to feed you your agricultural products, your crops that you eat in your lifetime, millions of them. And they were intentionally killed, and oftentimes horrifically. More brutal death than the humane slaughter of the food animals. And I could make the point that if you are not going out of your way to find ways to minimize that, what if you're killing an extra million of them every year just because of the specific plants that you pick? You could possibly be causing more. They're like, well, meat eaters cause more. Not necessarily. What about grass-fed beef? Are you telling me grass-fed beef out in the field that's not grain finished causes more crop deaths than your soybeans or your oats or anything else? Are you sure? Or your carrots? I guarantee you it's less. Guarantee you it's less. Because they don't have to continually redo it in there to deal with it. The full pesticide load and then dealing with poisoning and then chopping them up at the harvest and everything. So it's a very high number. And my point is the counter argument of, well, it's not what it is intentional. And you can't claim that it's not intentional. That's a lie. So again, they like to lie. But then they'll fall back over to, you know, which would normally be a reasonable response. Well, it's unavoidable because I have to eat. Okay. You have to eat. Fair enough. Do you have to eat as much? I mean, if they're going to make this moral argument, wouldn't they be like, well, I should probably find a way to eat 20 or 30% less so that maybe 500,000 mice and rabbits get saved? Do you not care about them? And that's the point. They don't. They don't ever make a big deal. You don't ever see them getting up doing that. No, they'll scream and yell and protest and virtue signal and block people and threaten people. Like, how many vegans out there, I think y'all need to die? I mean, we have at least one of them on the tubes who we know does this. Literally hates anyone who eats meat, wants their death. Right? They'll get up and they'll block people in milk aisles and food aisles. They'll do all that. But they won't scream and cry over the animals that still had to die for them to live. Right? So over these others that people choose to eat, but then again, intentional death was caused for their food too. They'll throw and virtue signal at them. They'll scream and cry and protest. They'll do that. Why do these same people not show the same compassion towards the animals that had to unfortunately die, according to them, to eat? Like, why do we not see the same level of mourning? If they really pull, well, all animals are equal and, they pull this nonsense, but they cause more than I do, so then the ones that you do don't matter. That's what you're saying. If you cause less then those animals don't matter. Because they sure don't get up and mourn about them. I have never seen vegans get up and make reels and cry and be in tears over the fact that they know that these animals have to die slow, often painful deaths out in the fields, being poisoned or being chopped up in the harvesters in massive numbers for them to eat their plants even. I don't see them getting up and crying about it the same way they do about the other. That's definitely hypocrisy, and that speaks volumes. Like, if they really and truly cared to the degree that they pretend to, and they virtue signal, because it is virtue signaling. This is a form of narcissistic behavior that they engage in. It's virtue signaling towards some crazy fad diet, right? If they truly believed it, they would literally be making content of, I get really depressed about the fact that me surviving requires this death. That I am horrified and I cry and mourn for those rabbits and those mice and those snakes, those cute little bunnies that are having to die for my crops. And I know that I have to eat, and I don't have a choice because I want to live. But it depresses me, and I mourn for them as much as I mourn for the cow that lived to be 2 years old and got to be fattened up and lived a nice long life and had a humane slaughter. I cry for it just as much as that cow. They don't ever make that content. Why? Because they don't actually care. They do not care at all. It's a farce. It's a front. It is for them to virtue signal and pretend to be morally superior. That's it. In fact, you would see some of them literally getting so depressed that they have other risks and problems due to them saying, hey, my existence and me reproducing and having children is causing all these extra deaths. If they really believed any of that, they would be looking at that and be depressed about that fact. There would be other sorts of other mental health risks that I won't say in here. It shouldn't be hard to figure out what they are. They should at that point be questioning their own existence. But you don't really see many of them do that, do you, on that end? Again, because it's not about the animals. It is about them feeling morally superior. That's it. That's the whole point. And then being part of a cult and feeling inclusive in it. That's it. That's the whole spiel for all of them. And this pretty much proves it. It's their position on it. Well, it's less than they do. Okay, so you don't care about it. Just admit it. Any more than we care about the cows that we eat.